Though God invites us to snuggle at any time, sometimes life's tragedies can leave us feeling far away from God. The first blog I ever wrote was on a day when these difficulties of life were just overwhelming my heart. Have you ever had one of those days? Are you having one now? For me, it was just 2 days before Easter, so it was Good Friday. If you're struggling right now, I pray that these words will bring you some much needed hope. Today is Good Friday. I'll never forget a comic that I saw quite a few years ago. It was BC, the comic strip with cavemen. And sometimes they define words, giving them unusual or wacky definitions. This time, they defined Good Friday as the only Friday worthy of being called good. I'll never forget that. Today, I'm thinking about death. And not only the death of Jesus, the death of my mom, who we lost to cancer not too long ago. The death of a little preschooler in my parish, Edie. She died a couple of nights ago in her sleep from a grand mal seizure. I'd been praying for her health, as I had been praying for my mom to recover from cancer. Yeah, I'm thinking about death. In my prayer time this morning, I couldn't help but recall those brutal scenes from the movie The Passion of the Christ, where there was so much blood, so much pain, so much confusion, so much death, and so much love. On our retreats, in small groups, occasionally I ask the question of teenagers, when have you felt closest to God? But I also like to ask, when have you felt furthest from God? Overwhelmingly, the answer for both questions usually has to do with death. Countless times I've heard things like, when my grandma died, I wondered why God took her. When my grandpa died, because I knew he was in heaven. When someone died, because of how our family all came together. Sometimes, for some people, the experience of when they felt closest to God is the same as when they felt furthest away. And often, it's in death. Jesus modeled it, and I thank him for his honesty. On the cross, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" I have felt that same pain and confusion in the face of death. I feel it today. And yet, Jesus also cried out, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." I've also known that trust and that utter dependence on God. I know it today. One of my favorite talks of all time was given by a sociologist, Anthony Campolo. It was called "It's Friday, but Sunday's Coming." The talk described the death and pain we all experience in our lives. Not only physical death, but emotional death and even spiritual death. But after each statement of death and pain, he said, "It's Friday, but Sunday's coming." I believe it. And Jesus modeled it. Today is Friday. He's hanging on the cross after being mocked and scourged. He dies. But Sunday's coming. I believe it, and I trust in Jesus. Today is Friday, and later today I'll go to the wake for little Edie, a preschooler. There'll be tears and pain and sadness. She died. But Jesus said that he is the resurrection and the life. Sunday's coming. I believe it. And I love you, Jesus. When my mom died, it was Friday. I saw her take her last breath, and it broke my heart. I'll never forget that moment. She died. And I remember how Jesus said, "It's finished." At that moment, I knew that my prayers for her healing were answered in an eternal way. She is now cancer-free. She's totally healed in eternal joy. And someday, I'll see her face to face again. And Edie. And Jesus. Here on this earth, it's Friday. But Sunday's coming.